Hi everyone, my name is Eivind Hansen and this is my first episode in a series of masterclasses with Nanlite. Today we'll be looking at how I use PavoTubes in my work. First we will be looking at how I use it for studio portraiture, and then after that I'm going to show you how we can use some of the RGB settings to add a bit of saturation to our portraits. So we're here today with our lovely model Aaron. We've started off with having everything on a daylight setting. I got 5 lights set up, PavoTube 30Cs as our main lights for the background, and as a rim light on Aaron we've got 30x and the 15x just to kind of get some nice bit of rim light here on the side of his face. And as our key light I've set up the 60C on a beauty dish with the grid. The reason I've set it up like this is once I turn off the lights in the back, because of the grid, we're just going to have a nice singular light on Aaron, and this is going to make the colors look a lot more dynamic and it will really pop in camera. I've got all my lights connected to the Nanlite app, so with the transmitter box it allows me to communicate with all my lights through the app. Turn this on now. We've got a really nice controlled light on Aaron. I'll show you how it looks. So as you can see now in the photos, even though we've got a white background, because of the grid on the beauty dish, the light isn't spilling too much. So the black in the photos, the background is reading as black. If you want now Aaron to kind of pop out a little bit from the background, I've got the 30x and the 15x set behind Aaron. And I've got egg crates set on it to also add a bit more control to the light. So in the app, I can turn on the 15x here. And now we can see, like, even if he's wearing black, he's got a bit of rim light here, so we can make sure that he's popping out of the background. We're adding the 30x on as well. So we've got a rim light coming in from both sides. There we go. And still the background is reading pretty dark. It's not bleeding too much, so we have a nice black background. We've got cool rim lights. So now that we've got the rim lights on Aaron, we want to kind of add just a little bit of depth to the background. I've only put on the barn doors, so it allows us a little bit of control. We're not necessarily spreading the light throughout the entire room, but we still have it wide enough to kind of fill the light in the back. If I turn these on, I can also then control how bright I want them. So now if I take a test shot of Aaron, we can see that we are going from a very dark black background to brighter background. So this is our basic studio setup. Next I'm going to show you how we can change the setting on each light, and then we can have rotating colors on it. The perks of being able to have the lights run on these programs is that we can try lots of different color setups without having to experiment with different colored gels. If we now go into the app, we can start with the Forza 60 on the beauty dish. And if I just change it now from CCT mode to effect mode, and then I put it on a hue loop, different colors rotating on his face. And then now on the rim light, I'm going to do the same thing. You got 3 different ways you can cycle the light as well. So if you have one light on this side cycling in reverse, and then you go on to the other light, you cycle it the other way. So that way the lights are kind of like cycling against each other, because if you do both the same way, then you might risk having the color just follow each other. But if they're going against each other, then you're able to experiment with more color options. And then we can do the same thing with the background as well. So now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different color setups. Up with the chin. Great. So now I'm really happy with the setup we've got. We've got the colors rotating on different programs. And now I just want to add a little bit of more depth to it. What I like to use in my shots is this little filter here called the split diopter. If you've ever watched like movies where you see like the main character is in focus, but then there's like this like really like weird blurry line, and then you have another person in the back in focus as well. It's because they've filmed it with like a split diopter, so it kind of allows you to have two different focal planes in one shot. It's gonna kind of add a little bit more like ghostly effect to our images. Good, it's nice, Aaron. So here's one image from the shots that we just did that I quite enjoy, and as you can see we have the split diopter in front of the camera, and it kind of adds this nice little ethereal vibe to the image. I think this is a good image because we've got like the basis for a nice edit. Here we have a nice example of all the different colors working together. We got the yellow on Aaron's face, we got one blue rim light, and then we got one red rim light. And then the back, one light is a bit more blue and the other one is a bit more turquoise. So you can kind of see how all the 5 different colors can work together in one image. What I want to do next is I want to play around with different modifiers. Now we've been using a beauty dish, and for the next shot I want to see maybe if we play around with something a bit more concise. So rather than having a spread light, we're gonna go even like more concentrated. So previously we had the beauty dish set on the 60C. I've now replaced it with a Fresnel lens with barn doors. The reason why I did this is just to show you like there are so many different modifiers you can put on the monolight. With this one now, we've been able to kind of control the light a bit more. It's a bit harsher. So with the beauty dish, we had a bit more of like a softer lighting. Now we have a much stronger light, and we can even see like the really harsh shadows here. And if we do a couple of test shots, so I can kind of control it a bit more, so I just get it on parts of his face rather than on his whole body. Nice. And then just wait for the nice color rotation to come in. And there, that looks really nice. And then as well with the Fresnel, we can also spread it a lot more if we want. We have a bit more on his whole body. That looks cool. As you can see here, these are the shots we did with the beauty dish. As you can see, we've got like a nice color going all over Aaron. Once we switched to the Fresnel, the barn doors, we were able to control the light a bit more. The light is a bit, you can see the shadows are a bit harsher. But then if you look at these shots here, we were able to kind of like cast parts of Aaron's body into shadow and then just have like that one highlight on him. Beauty dish and Fresnel is just a couple of examples of fantastic modifiers we can use. You can also put soft boxes on them if you want to spread the light even more. So I hope you enjoyed that episode. We barely scratched the surface of what we can do with the different PavoTubes and all the different colored settings that you can have on the app. And this has just been an introductory episode. In the next episode, we will be playing around with more controlled lighting. We'll be looking at projectors, and eventually we'll be playing around with smoke machines. So if you enjoyed that, stay tuned and I'll see you soon.